My first experiences with substance use, I was 12 years old, and I believe I was in the 7th grade playing basketball at my friend Bernard's house. And his sister's ex-boyfriend, or boyfriend at the time, brought alcohol, beer, and I drank it, and drank the whole thing. I hated the taste, but knowing that I was gay, it sort of masculinized me, I guess.
When I was growing up, substances were a regular thing of life. We would use substances inside the house, and then as soon as we walk outside of the house, we would use substances again.
My first drink of alcohol was at 16. It was when I came out. I remember it felt great because I was the type of person who was very caring and very sensitive, and I was a straight A student. I had everything going for me, but I always had this desire to fit in.
My work, especially with young gay men and young gay MSMs, is that they're really developing their own self-esteem, becoming who they are. And when you're 20-something years old and you're trying to become who you are, as a gay man, there's two things that kind of are the challenges. First is that this notion of the homophobia, the self-homophobia that you buy into mainstream culture, which says you're not okay, you shouldn't be gay, and so many young men will be trying to be straight. So that's kind of the biggest challenge, is trying to figure out who you are. And then the second piece is then how do you do that in a safe and free environment? So what oftentimes we see is that young gay men will find the bars and at last they're free.
So for some of the people, they come into the use of substances because they're coping with some feelings that they've had. Maybe they were bullied. A lot of the kids that come to us now, and adult men, were bullied as kids, and the pain continues. It continues on in their life and how they form relationships as they go forward. So they may find acceptance in communities where substances becomes a big part of it.
My first experiences with substances was when I was 13. That's when my friends introduced me to marijuana, and then throughout my whole life I continued to use. Marijuana being a gateway drug, I started using meth and then crack cocaine.
When I take that first hit of crystal meth, I just feel uninhibited. I can engage in behavior that I wouldn't before being high on crystal meth, along with alcohol and a bunch of different types of pills, and also ecstasy and cocaine, crack, all these other things. It just makes me feel closer with another man, and I think it helps people in the gay community feel closer to one another. And it's a false reality, it's not real.
In the beginning, when a person starts using meth, I think the first thing they notice is a change in their mood. If they had sort of a happy-go-lucky personality, they'll notice a loss of that. They're going to find that they're more mood lability. But as they go on with more meth use, I think we're going to start to see changes in their skin, loss of their teeth, problems with bones, things we don't think so much about, loss of bone density, and then ultimately decisions to have unsafe sex.
The drug drives the sex drives the drug. So someone can be in the process of under the influence. Unfortunately, a lot of the safer sex information, risk reductions, a lot of that information goes out the window. People take risk. People do things that they wouldn't normally do.
Even doing well in school and having my extracurricular activities with music and theater, it wasn't enough. Especially being a gay male and always seeing other couples like on Valentine's Day and even around Christmas time, or just in school in general, and kind of wishing I had something like that. I found my only way to find somebody like that was through drinking, because other people who were out were also drinking.
The impact that substance use had on my life, or the consequences, are several. There's so many impacts. Constant hangovers, just not showing up to life, whatever that meant for that day. Just going to functions, always drunk, drunk driving all the time. The consequences on my mental health was pretty deep. I mean, feeling detached, feeling lonely, feeling isolated, and using a substance use as a crutch to sort of feel like a normal human being.
I became a very nasty, judgmental being. I wasn't somebody you could rely on, not someone that was responsible, and it really changed me overall. I would say internally and externally, mostly internally, and I became very, very sad because I was wondering why it wasn't working and why everything around me was crumbling. And it wasn't until more recently that it became clear that that was what it was because of my addiction and my addiction to alcohol and drugs.
Important thing that had a big impact on me is I remember going to a club. All my friends, I'd say there were about 6 people in the room. They were like, "Come on, Dan, come here." So what are you guys doing? "Oh, we're just, partying." It's like, no, that's okay. That was my own constitution. But everybody but one person that was sharing that day is dead. It made a big impact on my life. It helped me to stay away from that. But then I also share that with people too.
I think we're wasting a lot of our energy and our talent as young gay men because they aren't growing up in these healthy environments. So instead of finishing their careers and getting that great education, going to graduate school and starting jobs, really doing well in their careers, so that in their 30s they're buying houses and forming relationships and raising kids and prospering in their careers, we see them in their 20s floundering, dropping out of school, going into rehab.
Going to the library and other places that I can stay sober at is my best choice, because going to other places where I would end up getting high or drunk would be a bad choice in my life right now.
It doesn't work, no matter what. I've tried every angle to see if I can make this work for me, and I love the feeling. I don't think the love for that feeling will ever go away. But the reality is, no matter what, it does not work. And there's a potential for you to be able to cope with yourself. It is possible. And although there may be people surrounding you that you want to fit in with, that don't make you feel good enough, that start hanging out with other people that do make you feel good, and really research what it is you're getting yourself into, because it is nasty. I've seen so much tragedy come from this. I've seen death, I've seen struggle, and I've never seen happiness come from it.
What I would tell another cool 18-year-old, if they wanted to stay sober and have fun, there's so many different alternatives. Some things would be going hiking. There's so much to do in the Bay Area. You can go hiking, you can go to the beach, you can have barbecues, you can still go out dancing without utilizing substances to have fun. So as gay and bisexual and queer men, we don't have to live that life that society tells us to live. We can actually build strong, authentic, and loving relationships with ourselves, and by doing that, we can build strong and authentic relationships with our friends, our social networks, and by doing that, we can build an amazing and wonderful community.